Hello artists, and welcome back to Art with Wilkins. In today's episode, I'll be teaching you how to create a quilled paper heart. But before we dive in, what exactly is paper quilling? Paper quilling is an art form in which the artist twists, pinches, and manipulates paper strips and glues them into intricate patterns and designs. Almost no one does that better than the artist Yulia Brodskaya. She creates beautiful and intricate artwork made entirely of folded and manipulated paper. She even created a stamp for the U.S. Postal Service in 2016. Let's look at some of her amazing artwork made entirely out of paper. The paper quill heart artwork that she created for the U.S. Postal Service brings us nicely back around to our own paper heart artwork. So let's get started making our own art. For class 1, the materials you will need are the heart template from my shop, scissors, liquid glue, paper strips or color copy paper to cut your own strips, and a pencil or something to write your name with. This is the template that I have for you. Here are my scissors, my glue, and my colored paper that I'm going to be cutting the strips from. I am using Astro Bright. Once you have gathered these materials, we are ready to begin. You will start with step 1 on the instruction sheet. Cut off the side strips. So we will be cutting on the solid lines that you see under your heart there. So go ahead and cut those out, and if at any time I go too fast, you can pause the video so that you can catch up. Alright, my strips are both cut out, and once you've removed them, we will be moving on to step 2, which is folding them. We are going to fold them on the dotted line, so long ways, to create very skinny strips of folded paper. So go ahead and fold both of those skinny strips into even skinnier strips by folding them in half long ways. Make a nice solid crease, and then we'll be ready to move on to step 3. Now in step 3, we will be using our scissors again and snipping the fringe. We are going to use these scissors on one side of the folded paper. So we'll be cutting on these little solid lines and stopping when we reach the fold. You should not be cutting through 2 layers of paper right now. So cut on those little solid lines so that your paper can be flexible and you'll be able to curve it. What we are doing here is making our paper more flexible. And do that to both of those strips. Cut on the little solid lines. Stop when you reach the middle fold. Do not cut through both pieces of paper. Very good. Now on to step 4. We are going to cut out the heart. Go ahead, take your scissors, and cut that heart out on the solid line, nice and neat. While we have this heart cut out, we're going to go ahead and grab something to write our name. Write your name on the side with the printer ink. And now we are ready for step 5, which is the trickiest part. We will begin by putting a very small line of glue along half of the bottom edge of our heart. The bottom is the part with your name on it and the printer ink seen. So grab your glue, and we're going to put a little line of glue around half of our heart. Just half, because we don't want it to get messy. So go ahead and put a little bit of glue, just like that, around half of your heart. And we're going to take the fringe side of our paper strips, so the snipped side, and we're going to start down at the bottom, the V of the heart, the point at the bottom, and we're going to carefully secure those paper flaps nice and snug against the edge, and it's going to curve and wrap around this heart shape. And we want to make sure that we are pinching it and holding it down until it's secure. If you use too much glue, it's going to be painful for you because it's going to slip inside and take a while to set up. But if you just use a little bit, then this should go pretty smoothly. And you're just going to keep going and get those little fringe flaps secured to the bottom side of your heart. When you get to the top of the heart and you're there at the V at the top, You might have to make a little snip. You'll see me do that in just a minute so that this is going to line up nice and neatly. So right there, it's kind of folding at a weird spot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my scissors and I'm going to snip so that it fits down perfectly right there in the V of the heart. And I'm going to pinch it and make sure it stays and sets up and is the way I want it. So we're creating an edge for this paper heart tray. Some people like to secure the edge to their tray with their heart flat on the table, so just figure out a way that works best for you, get it secured, and then trim off any extra. So I'm going to trim off that extra bit that I have there. I'm taking my fingers and running them around the inside edge to make sure it's all secure. And I'm going to trim that off. And now we are going to repeat this exact same process for the other side of the heart. So we need to add a little line of glue around the outside edge. Repeat the process. A little line of glue. Start at the bottom. Secure the flappies. Pinch, pinch. Wrap it around, curve it around the top, put it flat, massage it. I find it a little easier when it's flat to get it stuck there. And then trim the edge at the end there, and we have a heart tray. So now we're ready to move on to the last step, which is filling this heart tray with quills. This could take you 2 or 3 classes if you're doing this in school. It took me a couple of hours. The materials that you need are 1/2-inch paper strips or the paper strip template from my TPT shop, scissors, liquid glue. I recommend using a small cheap paintbrush to brush on little bits of glue for this. And here are the colored papers that I'm using. I'm using Astro Bright regular colored copy paper. In my lesson bundle, I include a guideline PDF that you can print on whatever paper you want, and it just provides guidelines for your students to cut their own strips. So the next part is a lot of cutting. You're going to cut out a lot of paper strips. I think I used 4 total pieces of paper to fill my heart, but what I recommend is printing a bunch of these on different colors and then cutting them in half. That way students can get variety of colors and not have whole pages of colors that they don't need. So cut out all the strips that you want to start with, and then we're going to start making our quills. So for the quills, I have lots, there's so many options. You can get really creative with paper quills and paper coils. So I have a paper to kind of get you started with a lot of inspiration and basic shapes for paper quills, but you're going to kind of pinch the end of the paper. Can you see that? Kind of curl it in. Starts very small, curl it in. It's kind of like a pinch, and then you're just gonna start twisting it in and twisting it up. You've probably done this with paper before when you weren't really trying to make something, and you were just fiddling or fidgeting around with it. So start creating your twisties. Twist it, coil it. There it goes. It's a spiral already. I want it to be tighter, so I'm going to kind of go back down to the bottom and start small and keep it tight. You can create loose coils. You can create tight, smaller coils. There's so many options, but I'm just going to get started with this one so I can show you some. So I'm going to go ahead and twist it all the way up. And now that I've got it all twisted up, I need to add a little glue so it doesn't pop out. So I'm going to take that flap there, and I'm going to use a little tiny bit of liquid glue. Tiny bit. If you use a lot, it's just going to slip around and never set up. If you use a tiny bit, it sets up quickly. And there we have my first coil. First of many, because I got to fill up this whole tray. And that's a tighter coil. If you let it go and then set it up, it's going to be a looser coil. In some situations in my classroom, we pour the glue into small containers and kids use a cheap plastic brush to brush on their glue. That way they don't use too much. And I just pinched it on the end there to create a teardrop shape. And that's a coil. And it's secured, and when I put it down, it doesn't pop open. But I got to fill up this whole tray. So I'm going to be making a bunch more. And I'll show you some, and then I will time lapse through the rest of my process. So let me show you this one. For this one, I am going to begin the same way as I did in the last one. Just a small kind of twist to begin. And then you keep on going. You'll notice once you start rolling the paper, paper has memory. So it will fold back into that position pretty easily if you let go. This is a loose coil, so I'm going to wrap it up and twist it the same as I would a normal coil. And there's a tight coil, but I want it to be loose, so I'm going to let go and let it kind of unfold a little. And that's a loose coil. And now I'm going to add my dab of glue. Got my paintbrush now. Tiny bit. Secure. And there's another coil. And here's some really good visuals for paper coils and paper coil making. I do have these visuals in my Teachers Pay Teachers store. It comes with this lesson bundle, but you can make tight coils, loose coils, teardrop shapes, diamond shapes. You can invent new shapes if you want to. You can layer 2 colors and kind of play around with bi-color designs. You can also do some fun paper strip folds that aren't twisty coils. You can do accordion folds, bi-color accordion folds, which is where you put 2 colors together. Bi-color spirals are really fun. The S scroll, the heart shape, I'm going to show you some of these. They all mostly begin with the twisty. So you just start twisting, get it all rolled up into a coil, and then you pinch it into the shape that you want it. Some people add glue before they pinch it. Some people add glue after they pinch it. Here's a diamond coil for you, just by pinching the corners there. Smoosh it in a little bit more so it has pointier top and bottom. And for some, like that one's holding together really well. I don't even need to add glue to that one. We are going to be gluing them down into our trays. So for some, glue is not necessary. Now here's a heart shape. This one's fun. You take a strip, you fold it in half, crease it, and that crease is going to be the V, the bottom of your heart there, right? And then you just twist the tops down. So you take one side, start your twisty, twist it down, twist it into a coil, and you're going to go all the way down with that coil. Keep twisting, keep twisting. You're going to do that to one side, all the way down, and that creates half your heart. And then you're going to do the other side. See, there's half the heart. And then do the other side straight down, and you will have a full heart coil. See, there it is. So there's a heart, and you could create a teardrop shape to fill it in if you wanted it to be filled in at the bottom there. A little teardrop coil would fit nicely in there to make that heart more solid. So here's an S scroll. That one's fun too. You just make your twisty, go halfway down on your paper strip, then stop, go to the other side, and make your twisty going in the opposite direction the rest of the way down to meet the other twisty. So you twist it down halfway, turn your paper, twist it down the other halfway, and then you have an S shape coil, which is fun. And that one holds together pretty well. So lots of options, lots of fun things to play around with. Here is a bi-color one, so you layer 2 paper strip colors. And then you just make your twisty. So you start twisting, rolling, spiraling your paper together, but you're doing 2 this time. And this one I think looks better if it's a loose coil. I don't know though, that looks really cool too. But if you want it to be loose, you can let it loosen up a little. And then when you look at it from the side, you can see both colors, and that's really cool and interesting to me. And I'm going to secure that one so it doesn't keep unraveling, so it stays put with a little bit of glue. So that is a bi-color loose spiral or loose coil. And there are so many more options. You can experiment, you can play around, you can come up with different designs. Maybe you want to create a quilled flower to go in your heart. And you are using a spiral center, and then you're using teardrop shapes for the petals. I don't know. There's so many options for designs and ideas for this. There's a loose bi-color spiral there. So you're just going to keep on going because we have a whole heart tray to fill up, and it's going to look really cool when it's done. Here is one more for you. I'm taking this purple strip and I'm rolling it into a spiral. And once I have it in a spiral, I'm going to pinch it to kind of flatten it a little bit and to give it 2 corners. And then I'm going to pinch it again the other direction and scrunch it into a diamond shape. And there's a diamond shaped coil. Here's how to create a bicolor accordion fold. You take 2 strips in different colors, you stack them, and you fold them like you would fold a paper fan, so back and forth. And then when you kind of let it relax, you get this boingy, springy accordion. So this is the bicolor accordion, and then you can glue each of the ends onto your heart like a little boingy bridge. And those are really fun to create. So create what you would like, create different kinds of coils, and experiment with different folds. And we are going to just create these coils and spirals and quill until our heart trays are full. Once you have created a handful of different coils and shapes, you are going to be ready to start gluing them into your tray. And I recommend using a cheap plastic brush and liquid glue for this. And you're just going to paint glue in the area you want, and then put your coil into place and press it down with your finger so that the glue has a chance to set up. I have to cut more paper strips because I'm about halfway done with my heart tray now, and I need a lot more coils. So I'm going to keep on twisting, keep on rolling, keep on making my spirals and my coils and my different shapes, and just gluing them into this tray as I go along. So this is the process, and I'm going to keep on doing it until that tray is totally filled up, and I'm going to speed up the rest of this video. But remember, you can always rewind it and pause so that you can revisit things that we have already done. And here is my paper quilled heart art all finished. You could now glue this onto a brightly colored piece of cardstock, or a black piece of cardstock would make it pop really nicely too. You could hang a string on it or leave it as is. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed creating paper quilled hearts with me.